Most people watching this right now think they understand pornography. They think it's just something they watch sometimes, something harmless, something they can stop anytime they want. But here's the truth. Most people don't realize what it's actually doing until it's already affecting how they think, how they feel, and how they connect with real people. And in this video, you're going to learn exactly what's happening inside your brain when you watch it. Why some people stay completely in control while others slowly lose it, and the one hidden pattern that decides which side you fall on, because once you understand this, you'll never look at it the same way again. I'm Dr. Elena Hart, and this is something you need to hear till the end. Let's start with something simple, but powerful. Pornography is not just about sex. That's what most people think. But if it was only about sex, then people wouldn't turn to it when they're bored, when they're stressed, when they feel lonely, or when they're trying to escape something in their life. And if you're honest with yourself, you already know that's true, because a lot of the time, it's not about desire. It's about filling a gap, something missing in the moment, something uncomfortable you don't want to sit with. And your brain learns very quickly that this is the fastest way to change how you feel. And that's where everything starts, not with the content, but with the pattern, because your brain doesn't care what gives it relief. It only cares that something does, and every time you repeat the same behavior, your brain strengthens that connection. It builds a shortcut, a fast track to stimulation, so instead of thinking about it, you just do it automatically. And over time, it stops feeling like a choice. It feels like a habit. And habits are powerful because they run in the background without you even noticing. Now here's the part most people don't understand. When you watch pornography, your brain releases dopamine. And everyone talks about dopamine like it's just a pleasure chemical. But it's not that simple. Dopamine is about learning. It tells your brain, this is important. Come back to this again. So the more you repeat something, the more your brain prioritizes it, and the easier it becomes to go back to it without thinking. And this is why some people feel like they're in control, until one day they realize it's happening more often than they expected. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Pornography gives your brain something very specific, high stimulation, with zero effort, no rejection, no emotional risk, no uncertainty, just instant reward. And your brain is designed to love that because it's always looking for the easiest way to feel good, the fastest way to solve discomfort. So when it finds something like this, it holds on to it. And the more you rely on it, the more your brain starts preferring it over slower, more complex experiences. And that creates a shift, not a dramatic one, not something you notice immediately, but something subtle, something gradual. Real life starts to feel a little slower, a little less exciting, a little less intense. And it's not because real life changed, it's because your brain got used to something faster, something more stimulating, something more controlled. And now normal experiences don't hit the same way. You might notice it in small ways. You lose focus faster, you get bored quicker, things that used to feel exciting don't feel as strong anymore. And in relationships, this is where it becomes even more important, because real connection is different. It's slower, it's emotional, it requires presence, effort, vulnerability, and if your brain is used to instant stimulation, real connection can feel less engaging, even if it's actually deeper. Now stop for a second, because this is where people jump to the wrong conclusion. They hear this and think, okay, so it's bad. But that's not the full truth, because for a lot of people, it doesn't cause any problems at all. They use it occasionally. They stay in control. It doesn't affect their life, their focus, or their relationships. And that's important, because the difference is not the content itself. It's how you use it, and more importantly, why you use it. There are people who use it out of curiosity, out of simple desire, no emotional attachment, no dependency, and for them, it stays just a behavior, something they can take or leave. But then there are people who start using it for something else, stress relief, distraction, escape. And this is where it becomes a pattern, because now it's not just about pleasure. It's about changing how you feel, and when something becomes your go-to way to handle emotions, it slowly becomes harder to replace. And then there's a third group, people who feel like they've lost control. They try to stop. They tell themselves this is the last time, but they keep going back. Not because they want to, but because it's become automatic. And this is where the shift happens, from using something to depending on it. And the scary part is, most people don't realize when they cross that line, because it doesn't happen all at once. It happens slowly, quietly, over time. Now let's talk about something deeper, something most people avoid: shame. Because for many people, the problem isn't just the behavior, it's how they feel about it. If you believe it's wrong, if you feel guilty every time, your brain creates a cycle. You feel uncomfortable. You look for relief. You go back to the same behavior, and then you feel worse again. And that emotional loop keeps repeating until it's no longer about enjoyment. It's about escape. And this is where things start affecting your mental state, because now you're not just dealing with a habit, you're dealing with conflict between what you do and what you believe. And that tension can make everything feel heavier, more frustrating, more confusing, and the more you try to ignore it, the stronger it feels. Now let's bring this into relationships, because this is where the impact becomes real. For some people, it doesn't change anything. For others, it actually opens communication, creates comfort, helps them understand themselves better. But for many, it creates distance, not because of the act itself, but because of secrecy, lack of communication, unspoken tension. When one person hides it and the other feels it, even without proof, that creates a disconnect. And over time, that disconnect grows. And here's the key point. It's not about whether it exists in the relationship. It's about how it's handled. Openness creates understanding. Secrecy creates doubt. And doubt slowly breaks connection, not instantly, but gradually. Now here's something important you need to ask yourself. Are you using it because you want to, or because it's become a default? Are you choosing it, or just reacting to a feeling? Are you in control, or does it feel automatic? And the biggest question, is it affecting how you feel in real life, your focus, your energy, your connection with others? Because that's the real line, not how often you use it, but how it impacts you. And most people ignore that until the impact becomes obvious. So what can you actually do about it? Not extreme decisions, not forcing yourself to quit overnight, but real awareness. Start by noticing your triggers. When do you feel the urge, boredom, stress, loneliness? Because once you understand that, you can start changing the pattern, not by force, but by choice, by replacing the behavior instead of just removing it. Pay attention to your habits, not just how often, but how automatically. And if you're in a relationship, talk about it openly, without fear, without hiding, because silence creates more damage than the behavior itself. And most importantly, align it with your values, not what others say, not what the internet tells you, but what actually feels right for you, because what works for one person might not work for another. And that's okay. Here's the truth. Pornography itself is not the problem. Your relationship with it is. It can be neutral, it can be positive, or it can become something you rely on without realizing it. And the only way to know the difference is awareness. Because once you become aware, you don't need rules, you don't need pressure. You make better decisions naturally. I'm Dr. Elena Hart, and if this made you think differently, then you're already ahead of most people, because the goal isn't control, it's clarity. And once you have that, everything changes.